Okay. So this is still similar to what Sir Yan taught you yesterday, because I was asking him what techniques you covered, and we realized that you weren't really taught ways on how to mobilize, how to prepare the child's body for, especially if you're working with kids with CP, because of the spasticity, and you have to mobilize yung mga key points of control like the pelvis, the trunk, and the shoulder before you start doing any other activities. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show through this video, and that's what we will practice later. I keep on clicking Safari, sorry. I am in Chrome. There.
Yan. So, for example, ang iyang pelvis, you can start by mobilizing the pelvis. Maano taanay? Ubang ka sa side.
All right. I want you to pay attention to this because these are the skills that we'll be practicing later.
Tanday ka din. Ano? Okay, go. Tubang kasi lang. Sige, ganito. Okay, turn. Turn.
Okay. So when you are preparing a child for moving, you want to, di ba, high tone ang mga kids with CP. So you want to minimize tone. How do you do that? Put the child first in side lying. So remember the weight-bearing side. The weight-bearing side is the one that is undergoing elongation. So kaya dapat make sure that the head, the trunk, the pelvis, the lower extremities are well aligned, and make sure that the muscles on the weight-bearing side are elongated. This also helps in decreasing tone. Okay, while the opposite side is flexed. That's why I'm positioning her this way.
So, hindi man na mo nakatight,
So if you're working with young children, you can use towels for positioning the head, for supporting the head, or the opposite pelvis. Okay? With bigger kids, like what I'm going to show you later with my daughter, I'd have to use a pillow. Okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to mobilize her pelvis, starting with the adductors, because it's usually the adductors that are tight. But then for this child, hers aren't.
But with other kids who have more, na mas tiga ang ilan na adductors, so I will do this. While the other on the hood, naamuna ka na, aside lang ha, aside lang. So we want to put the child in side lying because elongation promotes weight bearing and decrease in muscle tone. Okay, so I will mobilize her adductors.
So when you're doing this, remember that your movement has to be intentional, that you are really eliciting movement from the joint and not just the skin. If you're going to practice this with an adult, with an adult family member, it might be hard to do that. So you really you have to ask for feedback from your family member if they're actually feeling the movement, or baka pala sa skin lang yung movement, no? Parang akala mo nagro-rotate pero hindi naman pala. Okay? With children, it's easy to do that. Okay, because of the size of their extremities, you can really really feel that you are doing some rotational component there.
Okay. And then sa pihak naman ha. Sa pihak
so
naman.
Make sure that you do it for both sides.
Wow, my heart. There's a heart. Okay. And then do the same.
So when you're doing
you
this,
see some associated movements. When she tried to extend her shoulder, she also extended her lower extremities.
So when you do this, make sure that the pressure is coming from your palms and not from your fingers, so as not to irritate or tickle the child.
Oo. Dali na. Sige. Hampangan mo kanay ang heart. Hampang kanay sa heart. Okay. And how else will I mobilize the pelvis?
And so this is another strategy
My
for
heart,
mobilizing the
no?
pelvis. So one side is
So
elongated, the
bring it
other one
into
doing
external
rotation.
rotation and internal rotation, extension and external rotation, flexion and internal rotation. So combine those two movements. Okay, exercise aning teacher para ready ka ha? Ready ka na. Okay, sa bihak naman ha? Mhm.
So usually therapists would do passive range of motion exercises like hip flexion and extension and missing out on the rotational components. So when you're mobilizing the pelvis, you have to make sure that you're doing those rotational components in the pelvis.
Okay, and we'll do. What's that? Ready sa likod. Yeah. Tagilid na. Okay, come on. You can do it. There. Okay. Yeah. So to mobilize her spine, yun na. Wait lang. Forward kita ha.
Now I'm
Forward tayo.
moving towards mobilizing her spine. Again, you put that
So you
child
have to
in
move
side lying.
this arm, the free arm, backward. Ay, excited ko. Oh, no. Yan, can you take out the animals there, the finger puppets? Ayan, may ma-entertain aning sa imo ha. Head down, relax lang. There you go. Yan. So move the arm backward.
So when you are doing this, you can provide a toy to redirect the child's attention to distract the child, but make sure that the toy doesn't become a distraction in itself. So you also have to be able to strike that balance. So parang you're entertaining the child just to get her mind off what you're doing, because sometimes if the kids know that you are handling them, they tend to tense their muscles more. That's why I decided to present a toy with her. But then later on, you will see that she got distracted by them.
Okay. Sige. Ma-play ikaw.
So you learned these techniques with Sir Yan yesterday?
Those are my farm animals. Gusto yung
So pulling the thoracic and the lumbar spine in opposite directions.
Ano na? I like that. Very good, very good. Okay, and then you also do it on the other side. Sa pihak naman ta matubang ha? Oo. Now, okay, story.
Okay. Sige. Any questions with that video that you saw? Nan, did you get? Any questions or observations or clarifications before we do the demonstration?
Miss, pa-clarify ko lang. Karina, Miss.
Karina, yes.
Pa-clarify ko lang, Miss. Kung mag-mobilize ka sa spine, daw like side lying siya, pero okay lang, Miss, if wala siya nakatanday sa towel or sa pillow.
Ideally, nakatanday siya. Galing yung bata kanina, medyo hulagan lang siya.
Okay, Miss.
Pero you have to
Thank you.
ensure that the other body parts are stabilized. Okay?
Thank you, Miss.
Yeah. What else? Any other questions? So are you guys ready? Do you have your setup? Okay, just give me time to move my furniture around. Let's take a 5 minute break. Also to give you time to set up. Okay, and then hopefully you'll have your mat or and you'll be on your bed or on a mat. You have your stuffed toy or you have a member of your family on whom you can practice this skill on. But we'll do it together, okay? Sige. So let's take a 5 minute break for setting up. Okay? Sige. Thank you.